It's one of the biggest financial questions you can face, especially as you get closer to retirement. Do you cash in on your home's equity now in this crazy market, or do you wait for better days? The stakes are, well, they're incredibly high.
So how in the world do you make a decision this big? Well, to get some clarity, we're going to dive into a detailed case study from one town, Buford, Georgia, that tackles this exact dilemma head-on. And what the data shows, it offers a really powerful framework for homeowners absolutely everywhere, no matter where you live.
All right, let's get right into it. We're about to unpack an analysis that gives a direct, data-driven answer to this very emotional and, let's be honest, very complex decision.
And we are not going to make you wait for it. We're using what's called an answer-first approach here, which means we're cutting straight to the core finding of this entire analysis. You're going to know the verdict right away.
So for the specific group this study focused on, homeowners 55 and up in this one area, the conclusion wasn't some vague maybe or it depends. Oh no. The numbers pointed in one very decisive direction. And there it is. The data-driven recommendation is to sell in spring 2026. Now, I know what you're thinking. That is a bold and super specific claim, right? So let's dig into the evidence that makes this conclusion so definitive, starting with the biggest reason most people are waiting in the first place.
You see, most people who decide to wait are really betting on one thing. They're hoping that interest rates are going to drop dramatically. But let's take a look at what the experts are actually forecasting.
Now, what's so fascinating here is that this forecast really throws cold water on that dream of 3 or 4% rates returning anytime soon. Projections show rates are going to hover right around 6% all the way through 2028. So waiting 2 years for, maybe a 0.5% drop, it just doesn't really move the needle.
Okay, so what about the upside? What about your home's value? Well, the analysis projects a pretty healthy 3% annual appreciation. On a $475,000 home, that's over $14,000 in your pocket for each year you wait. Seems pretty good, right?
But, and this is a huge but, here is the other side of the ledger. The analysis calculates that just to own that same home, we're talking property taxes, insurance, utilities, and just standard maintenance costs a staggering $25,000 a year. This is the number that almost everyone forgets to calculate. And this is where the math gets brutal. When you subtract that $25,000 in costs from the $14,250 you might gain in appreciation, you're looking at a net loss of over $10,000 for every single year you wait. The math is simple, and it's pretty harsh. Waiting is actually expensive.
So if the data clearly says to sell, the next question is, how do you sell successfully in this kind of tricky market? The analysis lays out a clear playbook, but it starts by highlighting some really serious local risks that you have to manage first.
Get this. In the metro Atlanta area, more than 1 in 5 real estate deals falls through after an offer is accepted. That's the highest rate in the entire country. It means getting an offer is really only half the battle. Actually getting to the closing table is the real challenge. So why are so many deals collapsing? Well, it's not random. The analysis points to specific common inspection issues in Georgia homes. We're talking about things like termite damage, foundation problems from that famous red clay soil, or old electrical panels that insurers just won't cover. In a high-rate environment like this, buyers simply are not willing to take on big, expensive repairs.
So how do you avoid becoming one of those statistics? You play offense. This 4-step playbook totally flips the script. You get your own inspection done before you list. You fix the potential deal killers up front. You price the home for today's buyers, not last year's, and you offer smart concessions, like instead of just dropping the price, maybe you offer to help buy down the buyer's interest rate. That makes their monthly payment more affordable and your home a whole lot more attractive. And of course, timing is everything. According to the data, listing your home in the winter could mean selling at almost a 4% discount. But look at this. Listing in May could get you a 13% premium. On a home worth nearly $500,000, that is a potential swing of over $75,000 just based on the month you put it on the market.
Okay, so we've seen why waiting costs you money and how to sell smartly. But what does this all add up to? Let's put all the pieces together in a final, head-to-head comparison. This is the moment of truth. This slide really puts it all into perspective. Just look at that net proceeds line. If you wait until 2028, you actually walk away with less money, $415,000, because those $25,000 a year carrying costs have eaten up all your appreciation gains. But the real game changer here is the investment gain. This is your opportunity cost. By selling in 2026, you can invest that money at a pretty conservative 7% return. That's nearly $46,000 you earn instead of lose. add in your downsizing savings, and wow, the difference is just huge.
And that brings us to the bottom line, the final number. The total net wealth advantage of following this data-driven strategy is over $80,000. It's such a powerful example of how making a proactive decision, instead of just passively waiting for the market, can directly and massively impact your financial future.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's great, but I don't live in Buford, Georgia. And you're right, but the logic, the thinking behind this analysis, that is a universal framework that any homeowner can use to make a smarter decision.
So, what can you take away from all this for your own situation? First, do the honest math. Calculate your true carrying costs and weigh them against realistic appreciation. Second, please don't build your entire financial strategy on the hope that those historic low interest rates are coming back. Third, think of a pre-listing inspection not as a cost, but as insurance against your deal falling apart. And finally, never ever forget opportunity costs. The money tied up in your house could be actively working for you somewhere else.
Ultimately, this whole analysis forces us to ask a much smarter, more informed question. It's not just about what will the market do tomorrow, it's about what is waiting truly costing me today. And that is a calculation that is absolutely worth making.